Okay, welcome back to Real Cast Fishing. Your host, Glenn, with the Cedar Valley Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube. And this round, what do I got for you? Well, we're back to the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing series. And I'll just go through tips 106 through 110, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. And the plan is to just read through the different tips, talk about them briefly, see if there's anything to call out. Maybe there's some other past trips yours truly has done, or maybe y'all have done, and you can maybe expand on that in the chat here. And from there, we can open up to some other discussions, specifically with fishing. Let's see. Hi, Renee. Howdy. Just getting ready to start up this Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Also do have one request from earlier today about a viewer asking about the Bait Finesse Systems high spool speed bearing. So I've got this standing by. So to demo, I think they wanted to see just the difference between a stock bearing as well as the bearings that I purchased and added to it. But before we go there, a little toast to those that are able to join. Okay, and let's see. Let's talk about some fishing. All right, let's start out with the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. We'll go through tips 106 and we'll talk about them. Xfinity, hi Xfinity. Okay, so the first one is 106, fish like changes. Okay, let me read that one to you. The best lesson I ever learned about locating trout in a river came from a tuna captain fishing with Steve Creature Coulter 40 miles off Hatteras, North. I stared out at the horizon and asked him how in the world he went about finding fish in the open ocean. Excuse me. It isn't so hard, he said, smiling. It's just like trout fishing. For the record, Creature might be one of the most decorated big game fishermen on the Atlantic seaboard. But his closet fishing passion is chasing trout with flies. How do you figure that? I asked, perplexed by the comparison. Let's go on to the next page. Fish like changes, he said. Changes in currents, changes in depths, changes in watercolor, changes in structure. If you find a patch of seagrass floating in the open ocean, that's a structure change, and you'll find fish under it. If you find a place where currents converge, bait fish will school there, and bigger fish will follow them. Reefs, wrecks, and rock formations attract fish too, as do underwater ridges and canyons. So, hey, so far we're talking structure, sort of like the bass fishing, making sure you fish structure. Apply that thinking when you go out to the trout river. Look for changes in currents, where swift water meets slow water, changes in structure, where rocks and trees create holding water, changes in depth like shelves and pools, or changes in color, which usually signals a depth or structural transition. It's all pretty much the same, Creature told me. You trout guys can walk or row a boat to find those changes, but you're essentially doing the same thing a tuna boat captain does in the ocean. Find the changes, find the fish. Hey, and that kind of reminds me of yesterday's live stream. I did a live stream over there at my local lake named after yours truly, Lake Glen. And I did notice that where I got most of the strikes were where that change was happening. There was some structural changes in the vegetation, the terrain of the water, or the bottom. But bottom line, those changes did make a difference. So 106, we'll watch those changes. I'll drink to that. A little beer here tonight. I'm going light beer because I got to watch the calories here. All right, next one up, 107. Let me go ahead and configure this out of the way here. Okay, 107, depressing advice. The subject wasn't really personal hygiene, although it might have been for a wet behind the gills angler grubbing his way along a series of Montana rivers in the early 1970s. Faced with the dual challenge of my first float trip and the mysteries of the lower Madison River, notorious as the world's, I'm reading out of the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, notorious as the world's longest riffle for its lack of distinguishing characteristics, I presented my dilemma to Lee Wolf. All right, that's interesting. Okay, and again, we're on number 107. Noted for his economy of speech, the legendary angler answered me with a single word: bathtubs. I wonder what bathtubs have to do with fishing here. The wisdom of this odd advice soon became clear, however, in what appears to be an even flowing river. Look for holes in the surface. Cavities in the riverbed that form a resting place out of the main flow are echoed on the surface as slight depressions. Ooh, interesting. For an angler zipping along in a drift boat, the task lies in spotting these depressions well ahead in time to prepare a suitable cast. You recognize them as low spots on the surface, a direct reflection of the bathtub effect immediately below. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that. Okay. So what they're talking about is they're fishing a particular location, a flowing river and whatnot, and there may be some depressions down below. Well, you'll also see a depression on the surface, and so you want to kind of target those when it comes to fly fishing for trout. And again, I'm reading off the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. You can get it online as well as you can pick up a hard copy. I picked it up online just because I like it having it on my Kindle, or correction, on my iPad. Okay, 108. The shadow knows. Excuse me. And this is a short passage. Shadow knows. Most trout are endowed with a natural camouflage, a lovely variation of color, tones, and spots that make them difficult to see. But no fish can hide its shadow. Veteran observers often look specific for this giveaway rather than the actual fish, particularly against the contrasting background of a pale river bottom. All right, cool. Shadow knows, tip 108. And guess what? I did pick that similar tip from a fly fishing guide over there at Beaver's Bend, over there in Oklahoma, where he was suggesting as you walk the river to go locate trout, that it may be better to make sure you have your polarized glasses and look for those shadows, those shapes of some stretches of water before you actually start fishing it. So, hey, that's a good one. 108, the shadow knows. Look for those shadows when you're fishing a particular stretch of river. And, well, it might hook you up with a few fish or two. All right, next one. So far we've gone through 106, 107, 108, and we got two more to go, 109, 110. Open up to any Q&A afterwards, maybe even some comments on some of the stuff that came up. And additionally, if the one viewer comes on, I'll go answer the mail. He was asking about showing the difference between a stock bearing that's on the Big Finesse reel, the Cascade Zephyr, and comparing it to a more custom bearing that I picked up and added it to my other Cascade Zephyr. So it's the same reel, except one has stock bearings, the other one has the custom bearings. All right, let me wet my whistle real quick here with a slight light beer. It's Lone Star. This is not a paid sponsorship, but I do like Lone Star, especially since I'm here in the Lone Star state of Texas. Okay, 109. Watch for the flash. Despite their ability to hide effectively, there are times when trout completely betray their whereabouts. In particular, I'm talking about those times when they turn aggressively to intercept an emerging insect, particularly a fast-moving species such as a caddis. Watch the water closely and you'll eventually see what appears to be a flashbulb explosion, a sure sign that an aggressive trout has just turned its bright flank to take an insect. When the light goes on, this reveals not only the location of the fish, but a clue that what it may be eating. When you see this in the vicinity of your drift, set the hook. The flash likely indicates a fish that has taken your fly. And I've got some experience with this one. A particular location over there up in Davis, Oklahoma, fishing Turner Falls Park. It's the largest waterfall in Oklahoma, but in the wintertime, they also stock it with trout, some pretty nice-sized trout. And this flash, it's true. I've gone out there fishing, and I can see the water's fairly clear, and then all of a sudden I'll see a flash, and that is the trout swiping my lure, or in this case, fishing fly, and that just tells me to go set the hook. And that worked consistently that trip, that I would highly recommend to keep the tip 109, watch for the flash in mind when you are specifically targeting trout. There's a good likelihood that you got a strike, okay? All right, last one this round, number 110. You've got to pick a pocket or two. Let's see what this one says. It's another short passage. Again, Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Get it on Amazon. All right, while searching for that big run that everyone figures will hold several trout, many anglers overlook smaller patches of holding water that, taken collectively, might prove even more productive. You'll find these pockets of soft water behind rocks or in overlooked places where subtle currents merge. The payoff comes in casting a trout that gets less attention from other anglers with less wasted time walking up and down the banks. So, okay. Well, it's like the structure one that they just talked about earlier. You're just fishing these pockets and trying to get those trout to strike. So, okay, I'll keep that one in my back pocket. So, all right, let me just recap that real quick to let you know what they were, and let's go from there and open up to some Q&A, comments, and maybe if the individual who wanted to see these custom bearings versus stock bearings on the Cascade Zephyr is on, I can point out exactly what he was asking for. Okay, so number 106, fish-like changes. So you're looking for changes in the water flow, structure, and whatnot. Those are places where you want to concentrate fishing for a particular trout. It's the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing and it's targeting trout. So that's where a lot of this talks about. Okay, 107, depressing advice. This is one that well, it kind of threw me, but bottom line, it's this bathtub effect that the old school fisherman Lee Wolf had mentioned to one individual. And that is in particular, when there is a depression under or on the bottom, there's likely going to be a depression up above also. So look for those depressions or bathtub effect, and they may be some good indication of a trout maybe lurking down below. Okay, 108, the shadow nose. Okay, and this one goes back to when you're fishing particular river location for trout, look for those shadows. Sometimes you may not see the trout as a classic trout lingering in the water and whatnot. Instead, it's just a shadow. So keep that in your back pocket when you are fishing a particular location. Those shadows may be the giveaway that you should start probably fishing that particular location. Let me wet my whistle again with a little Lone Star. All right. Okay, two more to go. 109, watch for the flash. This one I was just calling out that back when I was fishing Turner Falls up in Davis, Oklahoma, that flash was a good indication that I should be setting the hook because that trout has actually swiped at my fishing fly and had taken. And if I waited too long, I was missing the strike. But when I saw that flash and set the hook immediately, my hookup rate was doing much better. All right. And then last one, 110, you've got to pick a pocket too. Again, talking structure, we had the bathtub effect, we're talking depression. Well, the same here. Pick those pockets, look for those little pockets of on the river and whatnot, and fish that particular area. There may be some trout there lingering, and you might be able to get one on the line. All right. Okay, so that's tips 106 through 110, Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. That'll close out the formal section of the podcast. I do want to just give you some quick updates. I did post several mobile fishing live streams, both the audio version on the Real Cast Fishing podcast that also feeds right into YouTube. So there's some YouTube ones there that's just the audio version, but do look for the long form video version where I'm actually just doing these mobile fishing live streams. And then if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, because a lot of times it'll be boring, but what I notice is I'm getting a lot more engagement as folks are joining, asking questions as I'm fishing. So that's been very, very fun to do. And then on top of that, I'll do an edited version, and that'll come out a few days after. And in that edited version, I've skipped all the slow stuff and taken you to the action. So there may be some specific call out that I want to let you know about a particular technique, method, or something that's happened, or a particular question that someone has asked. And then additionally, taking just maybe yours truly catching a fish or two. So you want to see that. This last live stream that I did, I had to do two. I ended up getting cut off on one of them and just reconnected and was able to get back to fishing. It was over there at the lake over there in Arlington, Texas, named after yours truly, Glenn, Lake Glenn. There's a sign there. It does well. I got some nice sized bluegill. It was 100-degree temperatures, so it was pretty hot. But right around the 7 o'clock mark is when the action picked up, and I was able to pick up some bluegill. I did have a nice sized bass chase one and almost eat one of the bluegill that I was bringing in. I'm hoping to get back to the video and do some editing and see if I can actually capture that moment where the bluegill was coming in. I had him on the line, and right behind it, this nice sized bass comes over there and attempts to swallow it. Okay, All right. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, comments, throw them out. I'll still be on the chat here. We got time. It's Wednesday, hump day, and we're just chilling right now. I do have these two rod reel setups, bait finesse style, ultralight bait casting that has some, let's see, the stock bearing as well as the high spool speed bearing that I was going to demo in case the individual who was asking the question wanted to see that demo. But anyways, while we're waiting for that, I'll explain what I have then. Okay. So this is the Casking Zephyr Bait Finesse Reel. Okay. Ultralight bait casting. This can handle 1/16 ounce lures and whatnot, no problem. And then I have the exact same one, but right here, but it has the real clicker version. And let's see. One has the stock bearing. Let's just do a quick, okay. So you can see that one's turning, it's quiet. So that's the stock bearing, okay. And we'll just pop it again here and you can see it's moving along and it's quiet. The one that has the high spool speed bearing is louder and it will spin longer. So you can hear it turning and you can see it spinning. The other thing that's key is it doesn't take much to get the momentum started to spin this thing. That thing starts spinning right away, and I think that's another reason why you're able to cast lighter lures with this thing. All right. Excuse me. And then, let's see. I took the line off it, all right, but some key call-outs that I would say with the Casking BFS reel is you want to make sure you pay attention to the amount of line that you put on the reels, okay? A lot of times if you put the full capacity that it can take, I don't exactly know. Oh, here we go. It's got a gear ratio of 7.2 to 1. Line capacity, 1 pound test, 70 meters, 1.5 pound is 60 meters, okay? I don't put that much. I do more like 50 turns of line on here when I'm first starting out to educate my thumb, maybe bump it up to 75, and then later on I'll go to 100 turns, and then later on 150 turns. But most of the time I just keep it around 75 after my thumb is educated in this case. With the stock bearings, no problems casting inline spinners, 1/16 ounce. With the high spool speed ones, you can take it to about 1/24 with no problem, 1/24 ounce. All right, pretty fun. Let's see. I think the individual wanted to make sure that I didn't have the spool tension cranked down on the reel before I went ahead and free spooled it. So let's see. I'm going to crank it down right now, right here, and I'll pop the reel and spin it, and you can see it's not turning much. Okay, so I got the crank down basically. And then I'm gonna use these lines here and count 4 back and back it off 4 of these segments. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and I find that that's kind of like a good starting point in this case. And so you can see it's now spinning, okay? So I'll go ahead and spin it. You can see it goes that long. Okay. And then you can also do it the other way where you pop the handle and then open it and it spins. Okay, and that's a stock one, and you notice it doesn't make that much noise. It's very quiet. So I noticed with the high spool speed bearing one right here, okay, that one's noisier, but it sure can spin. It doesn't take much to get it kick-started, and I believe that is really the key. So we'll do the same thing here. I'm going to crank it down so there's no movement. Okay, so it's not moving at all, hardly. One turn, basically. And then I'll do another count back 4 segments. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and you can hear it and you can see it spins. It's much easier to get it kick-started right there, and I believe that's the reason why I'm able to cast some lighter lures compared to the stock one. On top of that, we can do the, let's see, let's go ahead and kick start it with the handle there. And it'll just keep going. All right. One thing that you also want to make sure is, right now I've got it backed out to 0, so it has basically no braking set on it, and that's just for this demo. But typically, once I have it dialed in, got the spool tension and whatnot, then I'll do that last tweak where I'll adjust the brake to the situation or the lure that I'm actually using. And I got a video on that explains how I like to set these so I don't get any backlashes. I'll still get some backlashes, of course, but not as many when I have it set right, especially when the thumb is educated. All right, so I'll do it again. Let's see. Let's go back here. All right, ready. Okay. All right. And the key takeaway, again, is that inertia. It doesn't take much to get it started. It's just popping away. Look at that. Okay. With the stock one, much quieter bearings. Okay. You can hardly hear it. And it does take a little inertia to get it started. But once it gets started, it'll spin nicely, but eventually it'll stop before the other. I don't know if I can do both at the same time. Let's see. Nah, it's too hard. Let's see. Anyways, so I'm hoping that answers the mail. I asked if the individual joined, just ping me, and maybe I can explain what he was looking for, or maybe he can guide me as to what he's looking for. But bottom line, the custom one does make a difference when it comes to casting lighter lures. You do have to be careful, though, because let's say you got your thumb educated for the stock bearing, and the next thing you know, put on the custom bearings, you could find yourself getting some backlashes. Here, I got to take my glasses off. All right. Let's see. It looks like there's like four people on the line here. Y'all have anything that you want to ask? We already went through the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, tips 106 to 110. I'll get another one out there probably the next week. I do have a bunch of these mobile fishing live streams that I'm reposting via the audio version. Had some requests over the course of the past year to put out an audio version because some folks like to listen while they're in the car. Bear with me. My cat is over here messing with a bag, and it's making some noise here. I do have these BFS reels standing by in case someone pings me to see that demo again. And then additionally, I am planning on doing another mobile fishing live stream, just trying to see if, I'm really interested in getting my center pin reel rod out and doing some float fishing with some of that dough bait that I made the other day. I'm suspecting there's a nice size catfish or two lurking in a particular pond that I know of in the area. Additionally, I am trying to make that run up to Denison Dam. I've been watching the generation schedule and the water flow. Things are looking promising. I think if you time it right, you might be able to fish between those generation schedules, when the water may be flowing or maybe tailing down because they shut the water flow, and give it an hour or two afterwards, and you might have some pretty good action over there fishing that tail race. All right. And then for you guys that are out there just listen in, any particular fishing you want to talk about, it's the open forum at this point. Let's see. Mainly focusing on this ultralight piece in standby in case someone has a question concerning it. Okay. And then going back to fly fishing, did have a couple of tips that I posted. Actually, one of them right now. I've got another one in the queue. One that I posted earlier today that was from the mobile fishing live stream where I was pond fly fishing. And that one was where I was explaining how to use your finger when you are casting. You want to make sure that when you are holding the fly rod, put the line between your finger here and keep that tension on the line. All right, it takes up the slack, allows you to immediately tighten down on the line and secure it in place so that you can set the hook. You can either do a line pull at the same time as you set the hook, or lift up. I tend to do the line pull to set the hook. But that is key to have your finger on that fly line. If you have your finger just wrapped around the rod and you got your line coming off the rod, and you get a strike and you pull back, you're going to be having to contend with tightening up this wider distance or gap in the line and the tension, and that may be enough to miss a trout. All right, and then going back to the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, that one tip about watch the flash. I strongly suggest that you see that flash, set the hook, and if you are holding that line at your finger, between your finger and the rod handle itself, you should see a better hookup rate. All right. Let's see. Do have a couple of live demo ones that I'm also prepping for, specifically just to talk of the slab and jig rig that I used when I went and did some kayak fishing earlier this past few weeks. They opened up some of the boat ramps in our area, but when I had gone that one weekend, there was only one private boat ramp available because the water level was so high. Corps of Engineers shut down the boat ramps at our local lake here, but it's gotten better now. So the worst case scenario, I may throw out the jug lines and see if I can do a little catfish fry also. So I do know that we may have some rain in the next few days, so I may have to make some adjustments there, but I know that the temps will be well below 100 degrees, and that 100-degree temperature was definitely brutal. I did notice that as the sun was tailing down around 7, 8-ish, the bite definitely picked up in that particular lake. All right. And then I see some other folks just joined. Just again, ping me if you're the individual who'd like to see the stock bearing versus the custom bearing that I have on these two reels. All right. Okay. Let's see. That said, I am leaning again, doing another mobile fishing live stream where I'm using that 2-pound test line again, and that light feather kingfisher reel, just because that thing can cast some lightweight, like really ultralight lures. And sometimes I believe I've gone to some locations highly pressured, and just going with that smaller size presentation lure is enough to elicit that strike and actually outperforms the other folks using some just standard size lures. All right, you guys ever have that problem when you're hitting a highly pressured area? Keep that in your back pocket. Try a different lure. Try an undersized or smaller size lure. See if that makes a difference. And then I've been really happy with that Z-Man Ned rig. I don't know what they did to that plastic, but it sure is durable. I mean, I could easily fish that one a whole outing without worrying about losing it. And in fact, there was one point when I was using it the other day, working a rocky bottom pond, where I did snag onto something, but when I pulled it in and it got a little loose, all I had to do was just flip it over, and I was still able to keep fishing that particular Z-Man Ned rig. That plastic is really, really tough. But I think I saw on the packaging that you want to make sure you keep that plastic separate from your other plastic lures or worms and whatnot, because I think there might be a reaction that may cause it to, get deteriorated. So let's see. I wonder if the audio is good here. I'm looking at the audio level, and I'm not sure. Okay. Hello. Okay. Yeah. Test. Okay. I did get a question as to what is the gear that I use for mobile fishing live streaming, and I explained it. I I had a video coming out today, but it's going to be coming out tomorrow that explains it. But hey, we're live right now. Bear with me. I'm going to go run and get it real quick, and I'll just explain here live for those that are on the live stream the setup that I use. I find that this is the most convenient and readily quickest to deploy when I'm hitting a particular location. Just going to go live. All right, so bear with me. Give me a few seconds here. Let me go grab it. All right, I'm back. All right, I'm put my glasses on here. Let me see if I got good audio levels. Check, test. Okay. I'm also using, it's called a pod track from Zoom that I believe works really well also when you're doing these podcasts. I also just do some on the fly with another microphone. But this one I call my mobile podcasting setup. So let me see. Let me grab it here. Okay, what I have for this setup is one of these. I'm 3D printed this little stand for this microphone, and then I made another 3D printed box microphone flag, and then I have this cushion here. And this is the Shure SM57, I think it is. Yeah, Shure SM57. Shure SM57. Hello. It's one that musicians like to use. It's very heavy, and it seems to be pretty durable. I've dropped it several times and it's still working. All right, so I have that, and then I have an XLR cable that's going into that Zoom pod track. All right, and all I have it in is on a toolbox that I repurposed to store all this gear, and I have my phone on that toolbox also, and it's got a phone holder in place, and then there's a 3.5 millimeter connection into the Zoom pod track with an OTG cable that's converting it to a USB-C. So now it's feeding directly into the phone. So I'm hearing what's being said on the phone, as well as I'm also hearing what's being said on the microphone, and it's mixing it automatically. That's kind of the reason why I went with the pod track. All right, and here is the pod track, Zoom pod track. All right. Right here. So there's the XLR mic cable that's going to the microphone. Right now, I just have a simple headphone to put in my ear. I normally use another headphone that covers both my ears and works really well. I have a power bank that connects into the Zoom pod track, so I don't have to worry about battery. And when it's connected here and feeding in, it's automatically mixing everything. So I don't have to make any adjustments, just make sure that the audio level's good, and I just go from there. And then what's also cool is we got a little theme song built in. All right, you get a little clapping going on too. And then of course, think about it, and then little rim shot there. What do you say? Anyways, this is pretty cool. This is great for my mobile podcasting setup. Been really happy with the sound quality as well as the durability of the gear. And then I do have a 3D printer, and there's a lot of stuff that I've just kind of customized to it that I've been really happy with also. And then going to the mobile live streaming that I do when I'm out there fishing. I'm streaming straight from this phone, Samsung Galaxy S22. Let's see. Yeah. And then what I do is right here, it's made by Tellitson. Okay. And I can pop this out. It's got a magnetic connection as well as a locking mechanism here. what happens is you put it around your neck, lock it in place like so. Just bear with me. I got to always take a look at it and make sure I've got it in there correctly. Okay, there we go. All right. And what's cool is somehow it stays up close to your chest. And you can see I can move around with it, cast away. The stabilization that's built into the phone takes care of any of that wobbliness. The thing that I find that most is a detractor is if I'm in bad coverage, then I'll get some kind of spotty video. But if I'm in good coverage, I just, fish away and just keep talking. And what's also nice is as you're fishing, you can lean down and take a look at any comments, questions that are coming in. But, you got to pay attention because a lot of times I'll just get sidetracked and I'll be just fishing because, hey, I'm fishing. All right. The other thing is, go ahead and take this off. All right. The other thing is because the different phone holders that you use to hold your phone, I tend to go with this one that has a screw connection here because I believe it gives it a more secure connection versus just a spring tension one, because you hate to see your phone going in the water. And so that's what I use. Listen. All right, you go on Amazon, look for the COAF or City of Anaheim Fishing Amazon store. Look in there. I've got one of these posted in there. Definitely take a look at it. I don't think they're sold out at this point, but yeah, this is what I use. Okay, it connects here, and then I put my phone and I fish away. All right. Now, the key thing though is, all right, it's great you got your audio, or it's great that you got your video and everything's there. You're ready to go and stream, and you can fish away. But if your audio is not so great, you're going to lose some folks on the line. And so what I find is if you try just streaming straight from your built-in microphone on your phone, it's just not going to make it. There's going to be too much noise from background noise, wind noise, the noise from you as you're walking about and whatnot. So what I find is key is to get you a lav mic. Okay, there are some other mics that are available, some wireless and whatnot. I just kept it simple. I just went with a lav mic, 3.5 millimeter connection here. All right, they do make some now that are a direct USB-C, but I just went ahead and took the OTG converter, all right, and just connect it to my phone. Put this on my lapel of my shirt. Tuck in the excess into the pocket. I wear these Columbia shirts a lot when I go fishing. And then I just start fishing. And to me, that is the quickest, easiest setup to be out there mobile fishing, live streaming, and staying engaged with your audience. Because you could have a fair amount of people joining on the live stream, coming in and out, coming back and forth, kind of skipping around. And then they'll come in and ask some questions and whatnot. And you want to be able to just readily see them and be able to answer the mail as you're fishing, and even stop if it's a good question and you need to give it that time to answer the mail. Definitely do so. Now, there are a lot of folks that are also just going to be posting all kinds of junk. YouTube has a pretty good moderation piece that will throw out some of the excessive things. But you'll still get a few going back and forth, and all I do is I just ignore them and just keep going on. As long as it's related to fishing comments, go for it. If it's something else, ignore it, keep fishing. Also, sometimes you'll get some pretty good engagement, some of the folks on there. So I'll see some of the conversation going back and forth of different things, comments, questions coming up. And if I see a particular conversation that I think others should also discuss more, I'll just bring it up on the call and just say, hey, that's a good point, and just start walking through it. Maybe throw out a couple of thoughts there and see if anyone else has any. So, hey, that's what I have from my mobile fishing live stream setup. I had several questions asked over the course of the last 3-4. So I put a video together, but it's not coming out, I think, until tomorrow or the day after. So, hey, that's what I use here now. Okay. 3 components. Actually 4 if you count that OTG cable. Okay. All right. And then on the case of the mobile podcast piece. I also use it for mobile live streaming. All right. I do have another HDMI switcher that when I'm doing multiple camera setups, I'll use that. But that one also has mobile capability, has its own power, battery, and whatnot that I take with me. But I tend to use this more often than not, mainly because it's very convenient. 5 minutes, I can get everything set up to include the pod track mixer, the camera, the connection, and the microphone. Also, for the power bank, like I've used this one over two podcasts, and it's still got 58%. All right, and it'll go for hours. And in fact, I'll actually use that one on my GoPro, where there's a problem that you'll get with your GoPro if you use the battery, the built-in battery. What'll end up happening is it'll overheat on you, and if you try live streaming with your GoPro, eventually it's going to kick you out because it's just going to get too hot. The workaround is take that battery out and connect it to a power bank instead. You will have to be careful because it won't be waterproof anymore, but you can stream for hours. Before I started using the phone and the Android mobile phone setup that I just explained, I was using that, and I was able to stream 2, 3, 4 hours, no problem. Plus, it would save the video to the GoPro, and later on I could edit it there. Now with the Android, what I do is I'll let it upload, and then a few days later it'll be available to download. I'll download that, and then I'll edit those out, and then you'll see those follow-up edited live streams that just takes you to the action. Okay. All right, so hopefully this has been helpful. Just as a precaution for the individual, if he wasn't able to join, I'll explain, give you the backstory. There was a question concerning the custom high spool speed bearings that I put in a Casking Zephyr bait finesse reel, okay? And what he wanted me to do was make sure that I didn't have the tension set on the spool tension all the way locked down when I was using the stock bearing and comparing it to the custom bearing. And so in this case, what I did was I took one of these. This is the stock one. I can tell because it's quieter when I spin this, much quieter. The one with the high spool speed bearing is much louder, but it can definitely get started and cast pretty well. Okay. And so what I did then was I went ahead and locked down the tension all the way on this one, and then checked it. So, yep, it just barely spin. It doesn't spin, basically. It's just moving because of my finger. And then I back it off 4 of these line segments back. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right there, 4. And then I just do this and I let it spin. Okay, and see how long that lasts that long. Can do the, let's see, where you kick it in gear with, let's see if I can do it. All right, ready? Oh, wait, do it again. Okay. And it's spinning nicely, very quiet. All right, but it does take a little bit of to get it started, sort of like a kick start. So when I use the custom one, right here, high spool speed bearing, I'll do the same thing. I'm gonna lock it down. Okay, and put it in free spool, and there you can see it's not moving. It's like the other one; it barely moves except for when I kick it with my finger. Now I'm going to back it off for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's see, it's in free spool, and you can hear it. And you can see it quickly spins, and it goes really nicely. Again, what's nice, and I think that is why I'm able to cast lighter lures with it, is because I can kick it in gear. It doesn't take much to get that spool started compared to the stock one. All right, and then you can do the classic, and it'll just go and go. And then you can also see when it's right at the tail end, it kind of just spins slow, versus the stock one slows and stops. All right. So anyways, I wasn't trying to fool anyone about these. I'm just an average Joe, just showing you that, hey, this is what we learn. And that is our motto of the channel is learn to fish by our trials and errors. So if you are thinking about adding a custom bearing to your bait finesse reel, at least for the Casking Zephyr, I can cast lighter lures with this setup. All right. All right. More like a 1/24th ounce lure versus when I'm casting this one, the stock one, typically 1/16th ounces is where I go. If I try going lighter than that, I'm starting to get a little hard time being able to cast straight. I've got to adjust my cast versus I prefer just to cast it like normal and the lure goes where I'm aiming at. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much all I had related to that. Anyone have any questions? Definitely ping me here. And let's see. Maybe there's some subject matter that you'd like to talk about. I know it's getting a little bit late, but I got time. I'm just having a little brewski here while we're chilling. Chillin' be illin'. All right. And then I'm hoping that those individuals asking over the course of the last few about the, let's see, about the, what is he? Let's try. Okay. Bear with me. I'm just looking here real quick. Just making sure that people are able to chat here because I only see two on there from Renee and Xfinity. All right, and I'm thinking maybe it's moderating too much. Anyways, it says it's moderating, so keep it clean and I should be able to see any questions pop up. All right. So just to recap everything, we went through the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, tips 106 to 110, shifted over to some open forum comments, some updates, specifically looking at some of these mobile fishing live streams that I've done over the past few weeks, and then brought up the bait finesse reels just to explain, answer the mail. Someone wanted to see a demo of the difference between the two bearings that I have, the stock bearing and the custom bearing. Okay. All right. And then from there, went ahead and talked about the mobile fishing live stream setup as well as the mobile podcasting that I do. And let me go ahead and show you more on the mobile podcasting. This is the heart of everything right here is the Zoom PodTrack 4. PodTrack right here. Zoom PodTrack. And what's cool about that is I don't have to do any tweaking. I just really just connect it to my phone and it takes care of any feedback or whatnot so that I can show a video, I can hear the video being presented, and basically I'm hearing what you're hearing. And that's really nice. So it's like you're monitoring, making sure that everything's going well. And then also you have some cool sound effects. 4 on these first buttons, but I can adjust and add some different ones. I also make some customized ones because I can. I like that one, the rim shot. I have been posting trying to do it daily, a dad joke, some kind of humorous thing just to take us away from fishing because, yeah, fishing may be light, but you also have to keep your sense of humor. And I found some pretty good dad jokes that are out there that, there's been some good engagement with that. All right. Okay. Appreciate y'all joining. Let's say it doesn't look like there's any questions coming in this round. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. We'll plan to meet again when I do another one of these ramblings. That's going to be the next episode, another fishing ramblings, where I'm just going over things again. And then I'll follow that with the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing, the next series, so 111 through 115. And then finally, look for those mobile fishing live streams where I'm actually out there with this live streaming mobile setup, out there fishing and hopefully getting some good engagement with the audience out there. And then if you can't make it, then just come back and look. I probably have posted either an edited version, a audio version of a particular live stream, or maybe a long form video of a particular outing that we just happened. Right now, there's like several shorts out there. I think the one that's more of a tip. The other one is just upping your game. I think it was on fishing some of this ultralight bait casting gear. All right. Okay. So with that, we'll close for now. All right. All for now. Next time we'll catch you all in. Good luck and good fishing.